Hi, welcome. I'm Amy. I'm really excited to share these 5 easy, quick lunch recipes with you. If you're new, I'm a wife and a mom, and I love to share what I'm cooking for my family over here. I thought it would be fun just to put together a video of lunches that I make for myself, for my family, that are just really easy. I'm going to use this for a couple of recipes. I couldn't find celery at Trader Joe's where I was doing shopping just for a couple of things that I wanted last minute. And so I just bought this. I'm going to use celery for chicken salad, the diced onion for pasta salad, and then I'll just save this. I'll probably freeze this for another recipe. The first recipe I'm going to get started on here is a pasta salad. It's a sub in a tub pasta salad, it's called, and I really like it. I've made it a few times before. It's bright, it's flavorful, and it's also really quick and easy to make. So I'm going to start with the veggies, the celery that's already chopped, really convenient. I have decided to cook the onions. I'm going to put them in a bowl, cover them, and cook them for 2 minutes in the microwave. The water's boiling, so we're going to go ahead and get some salt in the water, add the pasta, and get that cooking so we can keep moving along with this recipe. I have mentioned this before, but in case you missed it, I cook my onions because my kids do not like raw onions. Besides for the onion that's currently in the microwave, these are the rest of the veggies for the pasta salad. Cabbage, cherry tomatoes. I got these from the farmer's market. I'm excited to eat them up. Actually, these are great tomatoes. A cucumber, and then I'm also going to dice up some of these banana pepper rings. The pasta's cooked, so we're going to strain that. I also rinse it. I rinse pasta for pasta salad, but I don't rinse the pasta for any like hot pasta that we're going to eat. I just find that leaves the nice salty flavor if you're going to eat it when it's hot, but cold, you don't really want any of that extra like starch. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up the veggies, the cucumber, tomato, cabbage, and banana peppers. I think this recipe is really good for a couple of days. It's great to prep ahead. If you want it to last longer than I would say 2 days, I would leave the cucumber and the tomato out of the pasta salad because that's what tends to go bad the fastest. I think because they're the softest veggies, but you could definitely put everything else in, leave the tomato and cucumber out, and then every day just kind of add it in. And then I think it would last you maybe even 5 days, this pasta salad. But it also calls for salami and pepperoni. I leave that out. I don't really love either of those, and so I just left it out. But you could definitely add it in. I think it would add some great flavor if you wanted to. So I'm going to go ahead and add all the diced veggies in there. And then I also added cheese. So I did change up the cheese. I think it called for maybe provolone, and I used mozzarella. I just diced up mozzarella sticks, and then I also used some Parmesan. They worked really, really well together. Now I'm going to make the dressing. I think this is what makes this salad. It's such a good dressing. It's bright, it's flavorful, and it's really easy to make. So the ingredients are just mayo, vinegar. You could use red wine vinegar. Sometimes I'll use champagne vinegar, sometimes a combination of both. It's honey, oregano, basil, and I left out the red pepper flakes, but you could use that if you want, and then salt and pepper. I also used hot honey instead of regular honey to change it up, and that worked really, really well. We love this pasta salad. Now we're moving on to another recipe. This recipe is super, super simple, just 3 ingredients. I tried a sample of this at Trader Joe's and it was amazing. So it's just these noodles, some cabbage, and this peanut vinaigrette dressing. The dressing is really, really good. You could obviously make your own if you want, but to keep it quick and very simple, I'm just going to go ahead and use this dressing. And I will say you could buy pre-packaged coleslaw. That's what they had as a Trader Joe's sample. So it's simple. All I did was cook the noodles, chopped up the cabbage, added the dressing. Fresh cilantro would be really good in here. I didn't have any. You could also put some cooked chicken in here. You could do like rotisserie chicken, just cook some chicken breasts in the oven, or you could use this. I really like this cooked grilled chicken breast as well. I just left it without meat, but if you want more protein heavy dish, that would also be really good in there too. This is the easiest recipe in this video, but you can't go wrong with a really simple 3 ingredient lunch. This is actually my kids' plate for lunch. Now moving on to chicken salad. It's a great make ahead lunch. And I will say I didn't actually like chicken salad until I realized you didn't actually have to cook your chicken because it just takes so long to cook the chicken and then to do everything else on top of that. But it's a great meal to have a couple days in a row. So those were all of the ingredients I'm going to use, and it's super simple. I've seen people use grapes or dried cranberries or raisins or apples, any sort of fruit just to kind of add that punch of sweet, crisp fruit flavor in there. I'm going to use grapes. That's just what I prefer in chicken salad. But I'm going to keep it simple. It's just diced cooked chicken, mayo, vinegar, grapes, mustard, just a little bit of stone ground mustard. You could use Dijon too. And then I'm doing salt, pepper, and garlic. And I thought, why not add some hot honey for sweetness? You could add a little bit of sugar, a little bit of maple syrup, or leave it out. But I love the sweet and spicy flavor in hot honey. I also decided to add some onion powder for some additional flavor. And I put it on some farmer's market sourdough. Use whatever bread you have, whatever you like. Croissants would be good, English muffins, anything. Tortillas. So that's this lunch. It's super easy lunch idea, great to make ahead, and it's full of protein. Also, this chicken salad was really good. The next recipe is pizza pinwheels. It's easy, it's delicious, it's a spin-off of pizza and it freezes really well. It's great for leftovers. So I'm making some pizza dough. I like making homemade pizza dough, but you could definitely buy pre-made pizza dough. Homemade is pretty easy and it's a little cheaper, and I really like it. But do whatever works for you. You can see the theme for lunches this week is pretty healthy, quick, and tasty. That's how I like to have lunch. I like it to be quick to make, pretty easy, and also to have it for a couple of days is nice. These recipes are mainly for my husband and I, but sometimes my kids eat them too. Today I'm doing a really easy lunch recipe. So to get started, I made this pizza dough about 45 minutes ago, and I'm gonna go ahead. I think I'll actually put a little olive oil on this. I'm gonna make pizza pinwheels. I don't know if you've ever seen this recipe, heard of this recipe before, but I think it's really good. It's easy, it freezes really well, which is definitely a perk because you can make a lot and freeze them. You could use store-bought pizza dough, homemade pizza dough. I think homemade is pretty easy. It takes about 15 minutes to make, and that included me waiting for our yeast to, I think it's called to bloom. But I'm gonna go ahead and just stretch out my pizza dough. What I like to do is stretch out the dough, let it sit for even just 5 minutes, come back and stretch it out a little bit more, and that way it doesn't really shrink as much. I think I read that somewhere. It might even be on the back of the Trader Joe's pizza crust, if you buy the pre-made raw pizza dough. But anyway, I'm gonna stretch this out as far as I can go. This is a double recipe. I'll leave my pizza dough recipe that I love. I just make it at least every other week. We make pizza here. So basically we're making pizza and we are rolling them kind of like a cinnamon roll. And you could either use a muffin tray or you could just use a sheet pan. I find that both work just as well. So I think I'll just use the sheet pan today. I think I'm gonna make it a little bit longer than the sheet tray, so I'm gonna go ahead and take it out of there. I just turned my oven on. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put pizza sauce. I think one of the most important things for this recipe is to not put too much sauce in, because then it can get kind of like soggy. This recipe is easy. You could add pepperoni, sausage, a veggie pizza, add some veggies. I'm just keeping it very, very simple, just based on the ingredients that I have, and I want my kids to eat it and all of that stuff. So I just turned the oven on, and I'm leaving a little bit of space at the edge. I don't want to put the sauce all the way to the edge. It doesn't matter if you do, it's just a little harder to work with. I've decided to do 3 cheese. So I'm gonna do some Parmesan. This is already grated Parmesan, mozzarella, and also some sharp cheddar that I just have in slices. I thought this way it'll just be kind of a nice variety of flavor. I want it to have a good depth of flavor. I've also used pizza dough and made like meat and cheese roll-ups. That's really good. I am just gonna season it with garlic powder and some Italian seasoning. Just sprinkle some Parmesan on there. And of course, let's do some mozzarella. For lunch, I would probably pair this with just fruit, but you could definitely use, raw veggies. You could cook up some veggies at the beginning of the week, like some broccoli, asparagus, roast that up, and that would be really good. if you wanted to do it that way too. I just like to take the end closest to me and just kind of roll it up like a cinnamon roll. So you want to roll it so that the long way stays long, if that makes sense. It'd be great to put in your kids' lunch boxes. I love having it for lunch. It's great to bring on a picnic. It's just a nice recipe. It's really versatile. You can have whatever you want. But anyway, I'm gonna get these rolled up and then we'll slice them and bake them. Now what I like to do is I like to use cutting board. So I'm just gonna put a cutting board under here and I'm just gonna cut them into pieces. You wanna work pretty quickly just because as the dough kind of sits, oh, my oven's ready. As the dough sits with that sauce on it, it is gonna start to get soft and soggy. And since I cut these pretty thin, they might be a little bit harder to work with, but looks like they're doing just fine. So these are ready to go in the oven and the oven is preheated. So let's get them in there. Here they are, just out of the oven. The lighting's a little bit weird. They look great. I don't know if I can touch it. It's pretty hot. So, got a little color on the bottom. They're nice, soft, and fluffy. We love those pizza pinwheels. Now we're going to move on to the last recipe in this video. It uses something packaged, something homemade, and it's really quick and easy and full of flavor. Barbecue meatball pitas. So I'm making some homemade coleslaw basically. It's just sliced cabbage, mayo, vinegar, a little maple syrup, salt, pepper, and garlic. And then I'm using store-bought frozen meatballs. You could definitely make your own. In my opinion, you can't beat homemade meatballs, but frozen ones are so convenient. This recipe is so simple, so I just made the coleslaw. I'm cooking the meatballs, and then I'm going to put some barbecue sauce on the meatballs once they come out of the oven. I actually cooked it in our countertop oven. So I go ahead and slice those meatballs in half, put the sauce on, and then put everything on the pita. This recipe is so easy, you can make the meatballs and the coleslaw ahead of time. And so it just takes like 5 minutes. When you want to actually make lunch, you could have another vegetable with it. You could have some fruit. You could have some crackers. But I really hope you loved all of these recipes. They're favorites over here. They're easy, tasty, and I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Go ahead and give it a thumbs up if you liked it. And I love sharing what I'm cooking over here for my family. If you have any favorite recipes that you make for lunch or ones that you want to see me make, go ahead and leave a comment below.